Alright, so first things we're going to do is create a new virtual machine. We're going to create a new virtual. We're just going to call it PFsense, and we're going to make sure it's in our folder. So this will be where it's in locations, which is right here. Select name of folder, select a compute resource. We only have access to this, obviously. Select storage. We're going to want to use CDC storage because we don't have access to this. This doesn't matter. Compatible, it should be automatic Linux, Ubuntu Linux, because I think that's what I did last time, but I don't think that matters. But in customized hardware, we're going to want to go down to CDC DVD drive, data store ISO file. We're going to come up to team ISO data store. This is going to populate. And then we're going to scroll down to PFsense CE 2.7.2 IE release. We're going to click OK. Okay, now that is set as the thing. We don't care about video card, network. I believe we have this one on the competition network. Yep. Connected power on. Okay, that's good. Ready to complete. And just checks everything. I don't think this matters so much because we have it set on with this ISO, and it should change it on startup. So network assigned. What do you mean there's no network assigned? You totally have a network assigned. Which network does this one have assigned? Yep, that's a competition network. So we'll be putting only this one on the competition network, and then we're putting all of these on one of them, and that will be lined up as such. Power on. Launch web console. All right. Welcome to PFsense. Oh, good. We're where we need to be. It's gonna go through a bunch of stuff. We're not waiting for cam, whatever. We're gonna just click accept. Spacebar. Nope. Enter. Nope. Okay. Enter. All right. Install PFsense. Yep. Guided route. Yep. Install. Proceed with installation. Yep. Stripe. No redundancy. Yep. Okay. Should we want to destroy the current contents of the following disks? Let me make sure. DA0. Yeah, because that's just overwriting the thing we just made. Check some verification. Alright, well that's running. We are going to also need to add, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to need to have 6 network lines on this. At settings, virtual hardware, add new device. Network adapter, browse. This was going to be internal 0, DVs, network adapter, browse internal 2 or internal 1, internal 3 or internal 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 2 more. Internal 3, great. Internal 4. Nope. Nope. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. What we need to do for this is we need to set all of these other ones except for 0 to competition network. Doop. Dun dun. And competition network. Okay. Perfect. All right. While we're waiting for this to start up, we can access the wiki in here. Where did I put it? I put it somewhere. I promise. There it is. VCenter docs. We're going to look at setting up a server. Okay, so static IP. Essentially, we're going to want to know our default gateway and our net mask and our DNS server. This is still just going up manually, but yet. Okay. If the names are interference, okay. Enter the WAN interference name. So WAN is going to be what connects to our main device. Let me see if I can figure out which one that is. Okay, actually, I'm gonna reboot this because there's a way to do this to where it only you can just use the auto detect and you don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna disable. How do I disable that? Oh, that's right. Go to here, go to here, go to actions, go to settings. Okay, so I'm just gonna disconnect all these, not this one. And then I'm just gonna reset. Actually, I might just, yeah, I'm gonna reset. Reset here, boom, boom. So now this is reset. Look, it's booting up here. It's very fancy. It's gonna go through that process again. It's gonna yada yada, try to figure its life out. Root mount waiting, root mount waiting. Should VLANs be set up now? No. So we're gonna auto detect. Connect the WAN interface now. So we want this one to be our WAN interface, so that's connected. No link up detected. Okay. You didn't work. Oh, I have to click this. Connect the WAN interface and make sure it's up. So now we can go and connect this. And press enter. Okay, it detected it. Great. And you can see it was VMX1. It's not actually in order, which is why we needed to do the auto detect thing. Press A for auto detect. Connect the LAN interface now. So we're going to want to connect this. Boom. Boom. We're going to wait a couple seconds. Alright. It detected it, and notice again, VMX3, which was not the second one, so it is not in order. To the optional one interface. These optional interfaces, they are going to also be LANs. When we do the settings later, we're gonna make sure a couple settings are set correctly so that it acts as though they are LANs rather than whatever they can be. Because I believe you can actually set them up to be anything else. But for our purposes here, they have to be LANs. Press enter to continue. Great. Then this one, nope, go back. Actions, settings, connect. Alright. Press A. Options, settings, connect. Alright. Press A. Options, settings, connect. Alright. Enter, continue. Alright. So you can see here, we have our WAN, our LAN, our opt1, our opt2, our opt3. So those WAN is the only one different. All these other ones, they're going to be LANs. They're just not going to be called that. We are going to want to proceed. Configuring loopback, configuring LAN, configuring WAN. That's fine. After I record this, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. So hopefully future years will be able to use this if they want to set up PFsense and want to just have a step-by-step look through if they get stuck on any part. Configure firewall done. DNS resolver done. Alright. Bootstrapping clock. This is just a bunch of Linux stuff for it to work as intended. Alright. It's loading. It's doing stuff, doing things. Don't get to plug up at the musical. I'm a big fan. Alright, so this is the screen you're going to see all the time. We're going to need to configure each of these IP addresses because you'll notice if you look at our mouse here, this WAN, if you look all the way over here, it doesn't have an IP address. This LAN, it also does not have an IP address, but we can fix that. So, if you enter an option, there should be an option to set interface. Alright, set interfaces IP addresses too. This one assign interfaces, we can't do that again. But that was what we did to assign the physical address, the physical like network adapter, to a connector to a specific WAN or LAN. So assign set interfaces IP address. We are going to want to do WAN first, which is this one. So we just do one. Configure IP address WAN interface via DHCP. We're going to say no to this. We do not want to use DHCP for that. Enter the new WAN IPv4 address. So this should be what should this be again? Hold on, let me pause the recording and figure out exactly what this needs to be. Okay, so I have figured out what our WAN IP address is. So we're going to, in order to get our WAN IP address, we're going to look at our competition assigned values. So the first 3 octets are going to be individual to your team. So we're going to set 6 point, oh, I need to click on 6.87.159.11. This that last octet, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you know what that octet is, because it's going to be used as default gateway for going forward. IPv4 is subnet bit count. That I believe is 24. Yep, and that's just found in the documentation. 24. For a WAN, enter the new IPv4 address, upstream gateway address. So we're going to find our gateway, which again, we can look in our documentation and we find out that the last octet of 254, and it is just going to be our normal thing. So it's going to be 6.87.159.254. Let me put that in, 6.87.159.254. Alright, should this gateway be set as default gateway? Perchance. Does it need to be set as a default gateway? Hold on. Sort pause. Alright, we have checked, and yes, it does need to be set as default gateway, so we're going to press yes, enter, configure IPv4, IPv6 address. We're just going to say no. We don't care. And we don't want to set a new WAN IPv6 address, so we're going to say no, enter. Do you want to enable the DHCP server? We're going to say no, enter. Do you want to revert to HTTP as the web configurator protocol? So this is what allows us to access, we can actually access PFsense from another machine, and this is what allows us to access that. HTTP, I believe the default is HTTPS. So we're going to say no. Alright, now this change is going to be saved. Alright, so has been set to that IP address, /24, great. Next, so we're going to set interface's IP address. Okay, so while I was recording this, I realized I made an error in my correction. So rather than each of these interfaces being set as LANs, so what's going to happen is rather this one is going to be set as LAN, and these ones are going to be set as WAN. I have the completed interface pulled up here somewhere. Yeah. So this is the completed interface. It's going to look like this, and these are all going to have their gateway address set up. I'm going to include the clip for setting these their IP addresses and their gateways in here. But yeah, just to clear any confusion, this is what this should look like at the end, rather than having these all be kind of similar and this one being different and them being LANs rather than WANs. Okay, back to the video. Is we're going to change the IP addresses and make these opt1s function as WANs rather than LANs. So they're going to have a default gateway. So we're going to set option 2. If I can click. Option 2, we're going to change the first one. Yeah, we're going to change all of these because all of these are set incorrectly. So configure via TCP, no. Enter the WAN IP address. So that WAN IP address, we're just going to use Active Directory, the first one. So 6.87.159.10. Alright, enter. Okay. So this conflicts with another. Let's. No. We need to unset all these. Let me just unset all of these. Enter the number of the invoice you wish to configure to. VHSP no. Enter the LAN IP address. So we're going to use 10. We're going to do a very simple local IP address. So this is going to set a local IP address, right? And so this is going to be 10.0.0.1. We're going to have to use 10.0.0.1 quite a lot because it's going to be our most basic. It's going to be our default gateway. So for all our other machines, when we're setting up the network settings, 10.0.0.1 will be our default gateway, which is where traffic will go if it doesn't have a specific address. So we're going to set that in 24. For LAN, enter for none. No. Enter for none. No. Alright. 10.0.0.1 as it should be. Set interfaces WAN IP. So we're just going to I think I can just set WAN as is now. We can just go through each and set them. So 2, we're going to change the first one. Configure IP address, no. We're going to set this to 6.87.159.10, which is going to mirror our Active Directory. So enter 24. We're going to enter our upstream gateway address. We're going to do this like several times. So that's going to be 6.87.155.254. So 6.87.159.254. Alright, we're going to set that as the default gateway. Yes, this should be set as the default gateway. Yes. No. Enter for none. No. Nope. Alright, IP address has been changed. So you can see that's changed there. So we're going to set 2. And we're going to 3 via DHCP, no, to the new opt1 IP address. So this is going to mirror Jelly. So that's going to be 6.87.159.20. Alright. 24. Enter our IP address, gateway address, so 6.87.159.254. This is going to be our upstream gateway address. Should be set as default gateway. I suppose no, because we already set WAN as the default gateway. Okay. None. No. And you'll be able to see some of these settings in the web console later on, much more simply. Um, enter an option. Okay. I think these are actually lined up now. Because this one is set to WAN. These are not set to WANs, that's right. So we'll have to change. So we'll have to do all of them. To, I believe it's 4, no, 6.87.1159. Let's do that to 30. 24. 6.87.159.254. Nope. 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 Alright. Enter. Okay, that's set. Now we need to set op3. Set 2. Set 5, which is op3. No. 6.87.159. Then we're going to check here. And that is going to be www, which is 40.40. 24. 6.87.159.254. We're going to double check that. Yep. Nope. 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 Alright. Okay, now we're going to set the last one for option 6. Configure to the new op4 IP44 address. So we're going to set this to 6.87.159.254. Nope, not 254. I'm mixing it up. 0.50, which is going to be our IRC. 24-bit count as always. Then we're going to set the IP gateway to 6.159.254. Let us double check. 159.254, 87.155. Yep. Alright. Default. Nope. 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 Okay. Okay. So, the reason why we had to do all of those WAN IP addresses is that normally you would have a bunch of connections and they would all go through, they would all be connected and they would all go through LAN. So actually you have your machines. They would all go through LAN, which would be in here, and then that would connect to WAN, which would be front facing. It would be, this is connected to the internet, and the LAN would just all connect to the same one. However, because of the way the competition network works and some of its quirks, what we have to do instead is set a bunch of WANs so that later when we connect to all of these, we can be like, okay, this one we want to specifically, with the octet of .10, we want to connect to this one, which is octet of .10, so that when traffic comes through, it just straight through and doesn't have any routing issues. So rather than a route being kind of simple like this, where it just goes through one internal and then one external, it has to go through the internal, and then it's going to find its buddy, its paired external, and it's going to go straight out. Now, you may be wondering, hey, what's the security for this? Because normally we want a firewall so that we can say, hey, whatever's coming through here, we have to like restrict. We have to be like, okay, this has to be specific IP. This has to be specific protocol from a specific IP address from wherever. But in this case, we have it to where it's like mirrored. So it's basically like we're doing nothing here. We're just doing extra steps. Well, this extra step here, what it's going to do is it's going to apply our firewall settings. So we're going to say, hey, block all HTTP traffic. For some reason we would never do this, but let's just say we're blocking all that traffic, and so that if an attacker was trying to come through with that, they would get blocked. And it basically is just a way to guarantee that we only connect what we want connected on here. So now that's connected, You can see this one's competition network, this one's all this, and you'll notice that that lines up with this CDC team internal is connected to the LAN, and all these others are WANs. Alright, that'll conclude this video.